Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition or episode of Redefinitions. My names are, as usual.
Wow, sounds like brilliant FM.
He has taken the first shot, ladies and gentlemen. He said I sound like Brilla FM. It is well. My name's Akorede Zakaria, aka for short. I go by the aka. I don't know. It's been a while we've recorded, so I'm a little aka. That's what they call me.
Wow.
My name is Akorede Zakaria, aka AK. You know.
Well, it's like your fan base. That's what you call it.
How are you doing? I'm so excited to be in your space today again. We're excited to have this conversation. I have my friend in the house. I have Mr. See, all this noise thing on our podcast that we've spoiled it, so we have to look for a way to put it back. It's supposed to do shakere like. So I have Mr. Eyitayo Olayemi in the house. Eyitayo, you're welcome to Redefinitions.
Thank you.
I feel like the way we're looking at ours, like we should be looking at like.
We're giving them a few glances.
Eyitayo is in the house.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's I don't know why you're laughing. You need the audience to believe that.
I am sure that this episode will be. Let me tell you the way this episode is going to go. It's going to go 25% laughter. You're just going to be hearing us laugh. I'm sure we'll get to a point where one of us will most likely cry. I know. We usually get to that point in our conversation.
I will not get there.
Yeah, he's already tearing up. We've not even started. He's already his feelings. God. But you will be blessed today. We're so excited to have you join us and to spend time with us. Eyitayo is my friend. And today we're talking about friendship. Relationships generally. Relationships, which is a major pillar in our lives and to bringing us to where we are today and who we are today. Mm-hmm. So, how did I meet Eyitayo? Eyitayo, how did you meet Akorede Zakaria, the awesome, magnificent, God-inspired, once in a lifetime, once in a generation, Akorede Muritala Zakaria, a.k.a. AK for short.
The only thing I'll not argue against is the God-inspired part, because that one I know for a fact. I think we met professionally first, yeah. We had started a company, and I say we, myself and two of my partners, started a business. You were starting a business with some other partners.
So it's a very, very interesting...
I'm not sure we want to get into it. The point is...
I was joining another business that I already started.
Right. So it's in the advertising space.
Yeah.
We started a digital agency, and the company was a design and creative agency that you were joining.
Yeah, that wanted to do advertising.
Yes. So I think that's kind of how it happened.
I remember the first day.
Oh God, you always tell this.
I remember
is it the first day or the first presentation?
I can't remember the first day. I remember the first presentation. So, listen to me.
The laughter has started.
You need to understand that I'm good at what I do.
Absolutely.
I'm one of the best at what I do.
Absolutely.
And we should. There's no pium today. Unfortunately, this is not working. I am one of the best at what I do, and you should feel that way. And I'm coming from a place where I had just proven to myself that I'm good at what I do. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm on my stallions, my unicorns. I'm riding high. I'm mighty.
No pun intended.
No, unicorn, union. I'm coming in hot. Coming in like I'm coming in.
Oh my God.
And then there's this internal review. And then I stand up to present. And I finish. And this young man just took me to the cleaners. See, what was painful was that, let me tell you, what was painful was that it wasn't just that he said that my presentation was bad. That's what pained me. Even that would have been bad enough. This man proceeds to say he feels insulted. He felt insulted. Like, I was almost crying. I was like,
oh my God.
Akorede ọmọ Balógun, obvious real tavaje. Ojoojúmọ́ nípa Akorede gbẹ̀bọ̀, ọkùnrin bàtúbàtú bí ẹ̀rọ lè like.
Wow. Where is this coming from? Lolade.
I felt I was under the ground. I know I didn't recover earlier. I mean, it was until after you then presented, and I saw that the other members of the cohort also like went at Eyitayo, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually playing with the big boys. Like, this is not like where you come with half-baked thoughts and it just flies.
Let's not name the name of the companies.
No, it's a brilliant thing. No, we can name the name of the company. Oh,
no, because
are they competition now?
No, when you say that, when you say it is the big leagues, it suggests that
you're talking about Microsoft or Google. It's the big leagues. Anyways, but that was how we met. So we met on in the corporate environment, and we've taught each other some bad things. My wife wonders why I listen to battle rap, and let me see something. Like when you're listening to something and your son comes and you push him away. I wonder, or reverse it, why you watching bad things?
Because it wasn't bad. You would not push it. You would not push it. Oh my God.
So Eyitayo introduced me to battle rap.
Yeah.
Bars. Like
I'll probably give you a few bars.
You be presented. You see, so it says bars, man. What are you talking about? Oh my God,
Lord.
And we've come. I mean, we're looking 6, 7, 8 years now.
Yeah, easily.
That we've been friends.
Easily.
So we won't talk about relationships today. We won't talk about. I mean, you're young. You're navigating the world. You are forming relationships. Relationships with your peer. Relationships with your mentors and parents and elder brothers.
Yeah.
And very soon you probably start having relationships with prodigies.
Absolutely.
Even you,
right.
as much as you don't think that there's much to you.
Yeah.
Like, what do I know?
Yeah.
The cycle of life would soon put you in a place. You know, one of the interesting things, people talk about Gen Y, Gen Z,
Right.
See, Gen Z was once millennial. There was a time where they was popping. It's like,
or millennial was once Gen Z.
The millennials were once Gen Z, like were the ones popping. People didn't understand us, and they said a lot of things about us.
Yeah.
Now you are listening, and people don't understand you. They don't understand why you wear Ashao boxers to go and buy something at the mall. I was actually listening to a message and the pastor said Ashao boxers, and in my mind, Ashao shorts. You know, all those ones that used to be tight.
According. I have a fair idea of the origin of this podcast,
which is a faith-based podcast.
Yes. So forgive my shock.
Someone is wearing Ashao boxers. Ashao boxers. Let me define it for you.
Oh my
is
goodness.
Any boxers you wear that you can't sit comfortably, and your coral areas.
The person that I don't envy right now is the editor of this podcast.
He's not continuing to part out. It's not. It is what it is.
No.
I said what I said.
Imagine me, your guest on the show, feeling like this.
Our
This
catchment area.
cringe-worthy.
Yes.
Okay.
Don't you see some, and that's the word, don't you see some young men at the mall wearing cringe-worthy shorts?
I mean, I agree.
What are they called?
I agree. I just think that there are different platforms. There's different kind of podcasts.
Where are you allowed to say Ashawo boxers when people wear Ashawo boxers?
Okay.
Where?
I've heard it. I would have to apologize because if you use that word again, I might walk out of this podcast. Please, I am begging you. No, because like there are different kind of there are different kind of podcasts, right? They are the ones.
The podcast is reminding me.
Yes, and that's the point. Like I understand the origin.
You're apologizing on my behalf.
Thank you. Okay. So
when you wear unprintable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Akorede.
How did I get?
Let's focus.
How did I get? Okay, that
I'm going to attribute all of this to the fact that this is
I'm
the
just
first episode this season.
I'm so excited to have you, and
I appreciate that,
and
I do.
Going forward, I'm going to be having very open conversations. Like I'm going to be more open. Okay. So, which is why I will use a phrase like that phrase that you don't want to hear.
Okay.
Even though you can hear it in your mind right now.
I can hear it, I'm remembering other situations I've been in where people have used certain words to actually mean something. Like, and I'm really struggling not to give these examples right now.
You're the king of bad examples.
I'm really struggling not to give you an example, so I'm not going to do it.
Said half of this
I'm not going to give the example.
Anyways, so what we're talking about is relationships.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I got to that. What was I saying? How did I get to that one? Okay.
Yeah.
So
the audience, millennial, Gen Z.
So you're young enough. Very soon you will have people that will be looking up to you, and you have people you look up to, and you have friends that you roll with. Friendships and relationships are God ordained. So let me start by how do you define relationships generally? How important do you see relationships? How important have they been to your journey? And yeah, let's start from there.
I think unfortunately, first off is that many of us growing up, we are not really, taken through the school of life. Like we typically have to learn as we go along. And I think that's the case for a lot of millennials. I mean, for a lot of millennials growing up into becoming that. I think millennials now are more intentional about their younger ones, their kids, and taking them through that school of life in that sense. And I say that because relationships are one of the things that, unfortunately, sadly, we are never taught. Like, whether at home or in school, the best you can learn at home is if you're from a family that's very tight knit, where everybody values everybody. And that's like the thing. But any other relationship outside of that unit, we're not really taught how important those things are. And how pivotal they are to even purpose or destiny and all of those things. So that's the premise. And as you grow older, you very quickly start to realize that life in itself is really there's a major part that relationships have to play in it. There's this woman I once spoke to a long time ago, and she was explaining to me how she's teaching her children about relationship, and this is what she does. In primary, between nursery to primary, she had sent them to maybe 2 or 3 different schools, and she would ensure they spent maybe 2 to 3 years intentionally. She did that in nursery and primary. When they got to secondary, maybe another 2 different schools. When they got into uni was the only one where they just stayed in one uni and then all the way through. But what she found as they were going into uni is that these kids had an incredible network of friends. There's the upside to it, obviously. There's also the potential downside to it, But I want to focus on the positive of it, which is that these kids, off of that, were able to develop a very rich network of friends and relationships with teachers, with classmates, with senior in school, with junior in school, with non-teaching staff.
Yeah.
And very quickly they did that. One of the other things I've also said to myself is I want to live in different cities at different times. It has not happened. I've only been going for vacations, maybe a week, 2 weeks max. But like just being able to have that very rich spread of relationships, I found to be very pivotal in life, just generally speaking.
I agree with you, and I think the first thing really is around how we never learned intentionality with our relationships.
Absolutely.
I don't know. In my life, I don't know 3 people that I intentionally said I'm going to be this guy's friend. The closest I came to was, I remember, this is a very interesting story. I was standing next to Lolade, who is now my wife. I haven't been heartbroken. And there's this.
Have you told your audience about the heart?
No, we've not gone into that. That's for season 10.
Let's go.
If you stay long enough, you hear.
Let's go.
And I said to her, I saw a lovely lady sister in church, and I said, I like that girl, a fine girl. And that was a crook. And I said, a fine girl. Yes, no. And a fine girl. I said, man, who collect that number? I said yes. And the funniest thing is, meanwhile, she was almost trading off her life partner.
But I say she can't collect the number.
Very interesting.
Alas, yes, she is. How many children now?
3 and done. 3 and done. But I remember that for me, that's the one person, that's the only time I ever said, this person,
right,
I'm going to be friends with this person. So I think the first thing really is there's a lot of accidental relationships or organic relationships.
Yeah.
But there's very little intentional relationships.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. I think I feel like we've been kind of, when you are that intentional, it almost suggests that you have a motive, an ulterior motive.
Yes.
And even when we feel this way that you just described, we kind of kill it.
Yes.
Because
especially believers.
Right.
Unbelievers might do that for ulterior motives, right? It actually takes a very, very secured person to look at someone else and say, that person is worth having as a friend, without necessarily plotting what I can get from the person, what value the person has, and says, okay, I want to be this person's friend. So we lack intentionality in that regard. We don't. One of the first things I realized is, I said my friends don't choose me. So you can't be my friend by choosing me. I have to agree to be your friend.
Absolutely. It's a two-way street.
Which is why I have many few friends. Like, people like, who do I think I am? Do you understand? So my friends don't choose me. And I think I've done well on that path where my friends don't choose me. It's just what it is. But I've also not done too well with choosing my friends.
Interesting.
Which is that I intentionally go out or I meet someone and I say, this person is worth having in my life because this person represents so and so, and I want to be this person's friend. So
I suddenly feel very special.
Yeah, you should be my friend. You should be. Oh my God. No, but honestly, so I think intentionality is one of the biggest factors in relationships.
I agree.
And intentionality is not just in choosing, but even in how we work
nurture it.
Relationship and all. And then my next question would then be the issues of values, right? How much or how well have we done in putting value first? And I mean, my own thought is we always put value
Right.
Like, I don't think that my argument is no human lives without values. So most of the people that say values, what they will actually mean is good, godly values.
Got it.
So we can define it better that way, because even the person that chooses because of body size, or chooses because of perfume, or chooses because of where the doors this person can take me into, which makes me cringe, especially when we say it, when we say it in church, like, guys, calm down. Like, that's not the main reason. It should be that this person is a representation of the godly values that we want to be part of. And when we see people like that, for example, you see someone that is very gentle, or you see someone that is, one of the things I started identifying recently is royalty. Like, I started meeting people and I started noticing, like, some people are royal and others are not. And trust me, I'm not putting myself in the royal list yet, but I'm just like, but when you come, go now. Well, they were well put together, and it's not flashy, it's not brash. It's not me and it's not Eyitayo,
No, I almost felt like you're describing me.
No.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not. No.
You're not describing me.
I'm not.
I will walk out of your podcast now.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
I think you're royal too. Just that flesh burnt, flesh and spirit and that.
So to the point you were making about
so
oh
values.
my God. Yeah. I think the premise to the conversation about values is the point you were making about being intentional.
Yeah.
Is that you have to be intentional to weigh your relationships on that value scale.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because if you're not, like you said, it's free for all.
Yeah.
And just like what you said now is the same thing I'd said to my wife. My wife is very open, warm, bring the world, solve the world's problem, take care of everybody type person. Therefore,
my wife is not like that.
She's always wow. Okay, so
let me tell my own wife. Let me tell you, hold on.
Oh God,
I have to explain myself. As I said, my wife is not like that. My wife is not bring the world.
I don't think it was a good idea to have me or to be on. Like, you okay?
Wait, let me explain myself.
Yeah, explain.
As my good friend, would you give me an opportunity?
Explain.
My wife is selective,
which is good,
but deep. My wife can die. My wife can follow dead bodies like grave. Loyalty is first on her scale.
Right.
So she's not like everybody coming.
Right.
Nah, she's selective at the door.
Right.
But there's no return. It's like once she enters,
there's no going back.
There's no going back. That's my own wife.
Yeah. So for my wife, she had been.
I saved it.
Yeah, you did a good job. So I'd always said to her, like, not everybody who wants to be your friend should end up being your friend. I said, but babe, like, I mean, like, if somebody wants to, and I said, like, first of all, you're an amazing person. It will be unusual for you to meet somebody and the person not want to be your friend. So, like, let's not build a castle around that. Like, you are a great person. So more than half or more of the people you meet would want to be close to you. So that's great. However, you have to have this it's like concentric circles, right? There's like an inner circle. There's the second one, there's a third one, like, and you have to ensure, like, these relationships have to be on different levels.
Yeah.
Not every friend, I'm doing air quotes now, has access to, a certain side of you or certain things about you. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and it's in understanding that. And I remember that she had gone to, I think she went to dinner or something with her friends, and they were having a conversation. So when she came back home, and then she was like, "Oh, by the way, boom, 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 boom." Then they said that she said this. I'm a very private person, which is why I struggle with being on this podcast. Like, I don't even want to be on this podcast, but we're not going to discuss how I landed here. We'll pack that. So, and I said, babe, like, is there a need to? Because I feel like the moment you say certain things, you have violated your own privacy, and to understand that for every relationship that you are in and understanding that person's values, and the word values there is almost like, just like what you were saying earlier, in one breath, you can use it as a metric.
Yeah.
What does this person give me access to? How valuable is this relationship? Versus the more, I'm looking for the right word, the more, I will talk about, can we quote scriptures?
Yes, sir.
The more we talk about like God's word, and you talk about the letter of the law, and the spirit of it, it's almost like you can, as you determine where this person falls on this your value scale, in the right sense of the word, or in the more wholesome sense of the word, it's absolutely okay. And I think in her case, as a classic example or a classic reference for this, is that it almost like she feels bad that this person has extended
hand of fellowship,
and I'm here.
You rejected it.
I'm here, and sometimes I feel like, and sometimes I think people tend to think that when you do things like this, you are being, what's the word? Like you said, how dare you? Who are you? Kind of thing. But really, it's not, because like that, your space is all that you have control over.
So it's a double-edged sword, and I'll tell you why. When certain things in how we see life should be organic, when things that should just be organic become intentional, there's a potential for trouble. And here's what I'm saying. I'll give you this example. So I am tired and angry at this whole my space, who I allow into my corridor. Like, Oga, we're almost self-worshipping ourselves, and we've created. So there's this spray of suspicion, and we do it very much in church. In fact, pastors are the biggest culprit of this, to some extent.
Right.
And it's the same in the world also. It's just you are going somewhere, you're focused, don't allow anybody into your space and all that. And there's a truth to it, because, again, I'm not foolish. It's not everybody that is in my space.
Right.
But I don't wake up lining who should be in my space, who should not be in my space.
I think what happens is, I think you, over time, everything falls in place.
Which is the point. Just develop a value system that organically
sets.
Why are we friends? We're friends because we don't lie.
And it's because of shared values, ministry.
It's simple. It's because it's not ministry. There are many people that are more spiritual than you that are not my friend.
No. It's because with me, you have a perfect blend. And I'm saying this, I don't care what he says. With me, you have a perfect blend of, your, like you said earlier at the beginning of this podcast, you have a perfect blend of your God-inspired side. Yeah. And then when you decide to, I even struggle with how, I don't know, crass you can get sometimes.
I know, right? And that's the beauty. Like, if I want to cringe you for the next 3 hours, I can keep going. You understand?
Please don't.
And the point is this: you probably won't have other friends that talk like that.
Absolutely.
If they don't have the other side that I have.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
On your own side, you are very selective. Eyitayo is proud. That's the word we used to describe him. If you meet him outside,
please,
Eyitayo is proud.
If you're listening, if you're
now,
watching,
hold on. He's not proud like that. But the point is this: Eyitayo is direct. Eyitayo knows his substance. Eyitayo is aware of his substance, And Eyitayo is unapologetic about who he is, what he carries, and what he brings to the table. And many people see that as proud. I probably would have seen that as proud if I'm not close enough to you to see your honesty. Like, what makes you my friend is that you are very honest.
Got it.
And you make me better at what I do.
I'm sure.
Do you understand?
I'm sure I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have that effect on people, just generally.
As you can see, this is our work on our site, Baba. As you can see, and for me, that's it. So, and which is that who you are should just be enough. Like, on one side, so the point is be aware. Let the word inspire and craft and design you, right? And many times, joining your hand to that and trying to be measuring and all that is for me, is a symptom of something else. It's a symptom of an insecurity somewhere. It's a symptom of a cover-up somewhere. There's just something that is off because it shouldn't really be you. You are yourself. You get. There's no extra attention that you need to put into that. So in this whole, and it's not just in the church, it's everywhere. That's like what you have. Don't call me if you're not. This is everybody is just. We're all so good that.
I understand what you're saying.
We need to start getting visas into each other's lives now.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I also, because again, we started this conversation with being intentional. Before moving into the conversation about values. And I think that there is a certain level of being intentional when it comes to the value conversation in the people that you want to develop relationships with that can get you, for example, there are places I'm comfortable sending my children to holiday, and you can relate to that. Even like within family.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And same thing with like friends and all of that stuff. And the reason you're doing that is not. It's not because you don't want them in your. I'm trying to draw that distinction in terms of.
That's why I said it's a double-edged sword, right?
Right.
And that's the truth, right? On one hand, you need to know who you are.
Yeah.
And absolutely unapologetic about it. I learned that too late, and it's paining me. I wish I learned it 10 years earlier. But also be humble.
Sure.
So intentional, value-driven, but you've got to be humble.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's that level of humility to say, I'm going to treat people right.
Absolutely.
I'm going to realize that everyone is great in their space.
Absolutely.
I'm going to give people the honor that they are they are God's children also. And people won't be perfect. I am not perfect.
Sure.
One of the things that kills every relationship, every type of relationship, is lack of humility.
I agree.
At the root of it is we are not just humble enough. So there's this point where you need to be intentional and you need to know what you stand for. And where it stops being that and it starts being something else is when you don't hold that thing in humility, and where it becomes more judging the people around you than judging yourself. My values is to judge me.
Absolutely.
And judge. So the reason I won't come into a certain space is that I've judged myself. I've looked at myself and said, nah, that space is not good for me. I'm not going there.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily has nothing to do with that person. You get, I'm too focused on my heart, myself, that I'm not. Tomorrow, anybody can walk into my life. Like anybody can walk into my life, as long as it's my life, and and I have a view on it, and I'm shepherding it under the Holy Ghost, under the Word of the Lord. And that's what is key. It's not because I'm achieving something. It's not because I'm going somewhere. It's not. I'm. One thing that used to humble me is 7 billion people are on the earth currently. God knows everybody's name. God is so in love with all those fingerprints, as different as they are. So it should bring a lot of humility when we talk about keeping our space.
Right.
Yes, your space is important, but we should be humble also. So that's the tension. I'm holding my values very dear,
Right.
but I'm also humble.
Yeah.
I'm holding my value in a way where it's not negotiable. For example, I won't be a friend with someone that is unfaithful in their marriage.
Right.
I won't be.
Right.
Not because I judge the person, but Emigo, I do garden.
Yeah. I would suggest that
I should interpret that.
no, not necessarily. Just kind of move on from the from the reference. Anyway, I think I like the point you made about the humility element of it, because I think you're absolutely right. In an attempt to preserve, our hearts for very good reasons.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can alienate people that potentially maybe we're even supposed to make an impact in their life one way or the other. So definitely is to find that balance between the two.
Okay, so let me pivot to another thing. So questions now. Who are your closest relationships, and what are the biblical principles that you see in those relationships that they've given you or you've given them? And they don't have to be Christians.
Sure.
They don't have to be
Sure.
Who are they? And you can mention their names if you want.
I mean,
I know Said, for example.
So
Is it Said? Is Said?
yeah, Said and Rahim.
Rahim. Yeah, Said
So
and Rahim.
I think that so those two, for example, we've been friends not even friends, we're brothers already.
Yeah.
This is going on maybe about, I don't know, maybe 20 years or something. Damn near maybe I was 18. I'm not going to do that math, so I don't give you my age, but you get the point. So, for that long, throughout that period of time, we have come to understand each other better. We've come to both our strengths and our weaknesses. Because we're all work in progress.
Yeah.
In one shape or the other. So but what I've learned from that relationship is the level of is commitment. Is the commitment to you. I might not be able to help you, but I'm committed to you.
Yeah.
And I was having this conversation with him, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, and I was saying that one of the things I've come to learn about love and unconditional love, agape love, no wonder it is the highest calling, because it's extremely difficult as a human being to function in unconditional. It is sweet when you are quoting it,
Absolutely.
but when you have to exercise it, it is very difficult, especially. And regardless of whatever.
It's impossible.
Yeah, because it's impossible outside of Christ.
It's impossible with us.
Because it's almost like, how do you explain the fact that the only thing I probably won't do for this person, and I'm not talking about this, my friends specifically now, is like the only thing I won't do for this person is die for them. That's probably the only thing I won't do for you. But my love for you is so unconditional to the point where you can be rest assured. If nobody else exists, let me call it Eyitayo, and wherever I might be, it doesn't matter what part of the world I'm in, you can be rest assured that from the moment your call comes in, all I am thinking about is how do I make an impact in that situation. And that is even when it is solicited. More so when it is unsolicited, which is to be able to ask, and this is what I was saying, this is what I said I was talking to my friend about, is that I mean, when I call you and I say, wow, what's going on? And I say, I do, our business. And then you're like, how? So, and I say, like, how business? And then I start telling you how business is, start telling you the challenges. That's great that I'm able to talk to you versus you call and I pick up. I'm like, I'm good, man. I just want to check on you. What's going on now? I remember that I don't know. I was just thinking, like, we talked about that business. How's that going? And that is the only reason you called me. Like, that level of commitment, i.e., that level of the demonstration of love, for me, it is so priceless because when it is solicited, everybody can show up.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going through something, I'm calling this person.
You can appeal to our good side.
Exactly, everybody can show up. But versus someone who just, and I'm saying random, even though it's not so random, is able to, it's almost like, because, and it feels, and this is the flesh part that I want to talk about. It feels very good when the person does that because you know that you do that for the person.
Yeah.
However, unconditional love is that whether or not the person does it, continue doing it.
Yeah.
And then relationships have ended. 10-year-long relationships, whatever long-year relationship have ended on this premise that you are not giving me the same measure of love as I am giving you.
Because there is no love without expectation. There must be demand in love. It's not love if I don't have expectation. It's servitude.
Yeah, but does it? Okay, so define what you mean by expectation.
Is that if we love each other, I have checks, I have blank checks with you, and you have blank checks with me. That's what love is.
Yeah.
And that's what Jesus did.
Yeah.
So Jesus says, I'm going to die for you. I'm going to go on the cross. But you are going to die for me too.
Yeah. So
the love that Jesus has for us, in our coming into the beauty of it, what we will see in it is our own willingness to die for him too.
Yeah, but you see, it takes a certain level of maturity in this truth.
Yeah.
To know it.
Yeah, we have to. Yeah, absolutely. We have to arrive at that point.
Exactly.
And you arrive at it when you arrive at it when he answers your first prayers, he answers your second prayers. You love him so much, his love grows in you. And then the way you are going to die for him is he will now give you a brother.
Yes.
That
Akorede.
Yeah.
That is in our relationship with God, right?
No. I'm saying that dying for Jesus.
Yes.
Is the way you will die for Jesus is that you will die for a man. You will be given for another. You understand my point?
You're right.
Dying for Jesus is this. Nobody has died for Jesus in a sense. What Jesus will do is Jesus will give you someone you said you go and die for. So you're a missionary, you're enjoying your life just to say, oh, see my people in Gambia. Are they going to go to hell?
Hold on. I completely understand.
So I'm agreeing with you. I'm just describing what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think that within the context of ministry and fellowship and what we have been called to do as Christians, and I believe, obviously, your audience is potential. Maybe I don't think we want church members to be listening to this podcast. Just go and listen to the apostle. I think that what do we tell a young lady? Who, and I'm going to give an example, please.
I like the way you're framing that. So please,
what do you tell a young lady? Who, I'm not even going to in marriage conversation yet, just another girlfriend of hers, who she feels like has done her dirty in spite of the unconditional love and commitment that she has shown that person over a long period of time. What do you tell her?
So two things, and it's a very valid question. So if you take, so we've laid out 3 steps. And don't be lazy to just come to this third step. Understand the 3 steps. So number 1 is this: you've broken the laws of intentionality. Let's call them laws just for the sake of the conversation. Or 2, you've broken the laws of values, right? Which makes the disappointment inevitable. So you have to really investigate the disappointment.
That's one scenario.
That's one scenario, right?
There's another scenario
where you didn't break those laws and this person.
Yes.
And that's where you stay true to who you are. So being a friend and being in a relationship is what I define. It's what you're saying to love.
Sure.
I choose, my chief on my list is to walk in the love of God.
Right.
That's my choice.
Right.
I'm not I've concluded my life.
Right.
And it's that serious. I've concluded this is who I want to be. And the faster you are that you make these conclusions, the better for you. Because it gives you you want to have an unreasonable strength. Make good conclusions. Conclude with the word of the Lord quickly.
Right.
Once I've made those conclusions, right, my options are few in any scenario I get into.
Right.
So even when I'm heartbroken,
right,
I know that my heartbreak, there's no way that I have 4 options. I have only 2 options. I'll give you an example. I'm walking on the road many times, and I'm like, you know me now, my mind is playing movies. Maybe a car drives by. Say if that guy should just calm down. Like, one of the worst someone can do for me is to spit on me. I've thought about it. Like, someone should just spit on me. Like, I probably, if I have a gun, I'll just kill the person, and all that. But I've thought of all those things there. Once I've finished my movie, I'll not like see just, sometimes I see the Holy Spirit palming somewhere with glasses and smiling, right?
The Holy Spirit is palming somewhere. We can tell your age by that church.
It's like, will you really do that? I'm like, please don't let anybody spit on me because there's really nothing I can do. Do you understand? Like, I am settled.
Right.
So one of the things, and another brilliant thing is that people grow. Man, one of the things I've learned and I'm seeing now is we close the chapter too early.
Yeah.
Oh my God, people grow. Yeah. Like, people grow. Yeah. So, and most of the time when we talk and all that, we always say someone did, and we almost in our mind present the people we are talking to as the person that is not breaking someone's heart, as the person whose heart is broken. Right. Many times we're actually talking to the heartbreakers. Right. We're actually talking to the backstabbing friends. Right. You know, pastors say they anybody that says that we're going to pray this prayer, half of those prayers we're praying it against ourselves because most of us in service we are the ones doing it. We are the culprits, right? Yeah. So what I would say is this: make your values, and your value is love, is kindness, is gentleness, is goodness. Make it, that's your price. That's what I get to win, right? And so when someone does me bad, what the person is actually taking from me, what people don't know most times is that when people steal from you, they are stealing from you at 2 levels. They are stealing the actual, the tangible thing, and then they're stealing where you've placed your heart. Right. That's the temptation. The temptation is what the enemy is doing is take his phone, but then take his words also. So they take the phone, and before then your words were bless you, God bless you, God build you up, and then they are trying to take those words so that they would then replace it with like which is that it will not be good for you, which is like a curse. You know, Eyitayo is cringing, but you understand my point. Like that's the only way some people can understand my point. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's actually always the thing. Like, you win. I always say this year, one of the things I've learned is I want to talk about selfishness. Let's say there's some beautiful selfishness in quotes that you must have, and this is who God has made me. Right. I'm not going to shift ground. Betrayals will not make me shift ground. So in scripture, and probably another episode we'll get to that. there's temptations and then there are trials. Temptations are your own weaknesses that the enemy used to lure you. Trials are the weaknesses of others that the enemy uses to lure you. So someone is greedy, right? Steals all the money so that such that you don't have money to spend again. What are you going to do about it? That's a trial you get, which is but you like money. You want to jive, and now you have an opportunity to get more money and buy that shoe. That's the temptation.
Like you're so God.
I'm old.
Jive. You want to jive? Don't lose our Gen Z audience.
What should I say?
I just find something else. I mean, the least you can use is flex.
You want to flex?
Okay. Even that in itself, I'm pretty sure is
we can't keep up with Gen Z. Gen Z, sorry, we can't keep up with you guys. God. You want to bam? I think you want to bam. Wow, that's a song now. Wow, you want to chill with the big boys?
Akorede, please.
Is that not a song?
So what I was going to say is, and the question I'm asking is because there's so many people who find themselves in that situation, whether it's marriage, whether it's friendship, whether it is.
I have a bar I'm about to drop.
Whether it's friend, please, you must drop that bar. Whether it's friendship, whether it's marriage, whatever kind of relationship, people who feel like I have given so much to this relationship, and this person turns around to do this.
One of the most beautiful experiences you have in life. I don't know if there are two experiences that are more beautiful than it, and only a few people will have it. Is the experience of forgiveness, of giving forgiveness. It's one of the most beautiful things. Like, there are glories in this world.
You know, I saw a clip. Okay, there's this woman who was actually in a church. She stood up. I think she was asking a question. I think it was like a Q&A or whatever. And this woman goes into 4 or 5 minutes of telling the pastor, how dare you tell me to forgive this person? He did this. He did that. He did, even when I now want to, he did this. He did that. He did this. And I think the man's actions, I remember the story now. The man's actions, I think, led to the death of her sister, who was the man's wife. Okay. So this is the sister-in-law talking about the man, right? And she felt like the sister had paid the ultimate price. I mean, if she was still alive now, you can have conversation about forgiveness and I can relate to it. I mean, we can see, but she's dead. Yeah. And then you stand and you're telling me how?
Forgiveness is one of the most beautiful thing. It's the biggest thing. It's the closest you can be to God.
My this is not a concern, but my heart is swelling.
You might cry.
No, I'm not going to cry. I think.
Sorry, let me break that down. So we are in a tension. Our experience is in a tension. We exist in a tension of good and evil, flesh and spirit, law and faith, God and devil, in a tension. I just took you through seminary school like that. We're in a tension. And the beauty and the joy of our lives as believers is when God wins, when the right side wins. Right. So it's what we call faith. It's what we call miracles. So you're in tension of sickness and health. Yeah. When a miracle or a healing is when health and well-being wins over death and sickness. Right. When the tension of holiness and depravity and sin, and the beauty of it is when holiness wins. Right. You get, we're always there. Right. As you go through those things, you're going to see what makes forgiveness even more powerful is that legitimacy is the person who needs to forgive. Now, you can say, for example,
Right.
you can say, by stripes, I have been healed. Right. Sickness has no legitimacy. And we preach it. Sickness, devil has no legitimacy. Right. Get it out. And we're excited. Right?
Why'd you get animated when you're talking about church?
You know, it has no legitimacy. Sin, we are very sure it has no legitimacy. By the time you read Romans and you just get to is it Romans 8:11? Reckon, that's where all of you cry. Oh my God, I reckon.
You can't help yourself.
And alive to, you reckon. It teach you no legitimacy. When we get to forgiveness, there's actually no legitimacy. Yeah.
But we cloth the entire thing.
Never. It's not legitimacy.
Yeah.
Because in those moments, we have the opportunity to be who Jesus was to us.
Yeah.
I think we need to fall in love with him. That is the answer to all things, really. We need to fall in love with him. It's and someone will say, they've not offended you. If we're having this conversation 2 years ago, I will agree. But where I am now, they've offended me. I'm not gonna lie.
I think I was listening to a message. I'm so sorry. A message recently about the enemies of the heart. One of those things that the pastor was talking about was offense.
Yeah.
And earlier in the year, so over the last 2-3 years, I've had incredible experiences with relationships, and they've really defined. They've defined how I approach relationship going forward, but whilst not losing the God's intention when it comes to these things. At the beginning of the year, my pastor had said that. So he gave a word, a prophecy that there's that God is speaking specifically to people who needed to fix broken relationships. This was the 31st night. We are now in March, late March, and almost every other day,
you remember the message.
I am reminded that you have to fix broken relationships. And I'm saying this because I'm hoping that we can encourage somebody who's listening to this, is that offense will come.
Yeah.
Heartbreaks will come. These things would happen. One of my pastors once said, bad things happen to good people. These things would happen. But first of all, give yourself time. Don't shakabala out of it. Just give yourself time.
Yeah.
And that's something I learned in this last 3 years. So give yourself time. And if you have the opportunity to be able to speak to the person, also let them know that you need time.
Yeah.
The person needs to have the humility to give you time.
Yeah.
Because I did not determine how you would offend me. You offended me, right? So please, you cannot determine how I go through this. So let me go through it. And I'm saying this with chuckles because I've had this experience with my wife as well, where it's almost like, let's talk about this thing now, and let's just wrap this thing up. And she's like, babe, I can't talk about it now. Can we talk about it later? And over time, I've grown to understand that, she needs time. Like, you cannot, it's almost selfish of you that one way or the other, you created this situation. You're still now trying to kind of push your agenda by saying, let's discuss it now. The humility and the patience in saying, when you are ready to talk about it, we can talk about it. And also Maria's not a Shakabalaya Christian. She's a Christian, So, but in also letting the person understand. Because I remember one of the things I said, because she had been dealing with some sort of more emotional stuff. Nothing I caused, thankfully, but so she also said, even in that one, that it's not like I caused it. So she had also said that she needed time before she could talk to me about it. So what I told her was, babe, you might not be able to talk about it now with me, but please make sure you're talking to God about it. I don't forget me, Seth, in the grand scheme of things. Just make sure you're talking to God about it. And I'm saying this to say to someone that when offense come and these things happen, give yourself time. Do not let it rob you of what you believe to be true.
Yeah.
Which is, this too shall pass. Don't let that, and do not let the voice of people make you feel like, it's not that deep now. Why are you like? And you know how we are. Like sometimes, our modus operandi with.
To be honest, it's one of the hardest sequence.
Yeah.
That we pass through in life.
Yeah.
There is no easy answer to it. I personally believe that God allows it.
Yes.
God does not cause it.
Yes. Yes.
He allows it.
Yes.
And it potentially can bring us, which is the interesting thing about God and his mode of parenting. It comes with a scare that this thing can actually damage us.
Yeah.
Like we can't see the end of it. But at the same time, it gives a promise of a beauty. Have you ever seen restored relationships? Like relationships that are properly restored.
Yeah.
They are beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
They are beautiful. I mean,
I agree.
And so that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
That I believe that heaven or God takes us through.
Yeah.
Or allows or permits or and maybe can't even do much about it because like you said, we're all in progress. So there'll be gaps in how we treat each other. And I think it's important that does not stop us from building relationships. I think we must go into building relationships with the understanding that this can happen.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in a place now where I know that anybody can mess me up. I'm not humble enough to say I can mess anybody up, but when I think about it rationally, man, myself, I can mess anybody up. So what that does for me is, the time I was talking, myself and Ladi were talking, and talking to you, name drop a woman, she wouldn't say anything, went out, she wouldn't say anything. One day I said, babe, please, I want you to trust me, I like it, but this is your trust. Nah. I have no plans. I have no intention to go outside my marriage or misbehave or do anything. Yeah. But I don't want us to be careless.
Absolutely.
So many times.
Going back to being intentional.
Yes. In these relationships, we become careless.
True.
We don't say our hearts. We don't say, bro, I don't like what you said there.
Right.
Or and give the person an opportunity to say, that wasn't what I meant.
Right.
And then quickly kill it at that point.
Right.
Do you understand?
Right.
Bro, why did you say this?
Right.
Those are the things that develop to then be big things.
Yes.
You get, then it's like, we can't get back from it. So, number one. Then number two is the humility to receive feedback. And someone says, you did this, I didn't like this. And I remember I was talking to my friend, and something we always joked around, and in that season it took you very pee. Like, you cannot say I realized that rationally his arguments didn't make sense because it's something we throw on each other. But I honestly thought around it. Even if he does not know that he's not being sincere in quote, but he's feeling it right now.
Right now.
And what will it cost me to not use that phrase or use that word? And I took dressing. And after I realized that, man, and I looked at myself and I said, Omo,
your audience, do they understand what you mean by you took dressing?
I took dressing. If you've done NYC, you understand dressing.
In the context of what you're saying, they can get it.
Yeah, so I had to readjust myself, right? And then I also realized that even me, what he was complaining about, I complain about it in just a different phrase.
Wow.
Like it's actually the same thing.
Wow.
So I kind of appreciated that more. So humility, honesty, we must inculcate that into our relationships.
Yeah.
Some of the relationships that I've had that are not where I want it to be. I know one of the biggest issues in those relationships was me not being bold enough to give feedback as at when I was supposed to.
Right.
Me not being bold enough to say, let's sit down and talk about this.
Right.
And then that growing, and all that. So I like the fact that we've talked about how we build relationships. And I also like the fact that we've spoken about offense, which is a very, very deep conversation. Many times offense slows us down. It does all that. But forgiveness just brings us into a beautiful height. Yeah. And Jesus is proud of us. And I think it's very, very important.
Right.
Jesus is super proud of us. Right. We talk about the first martyr, and what made Stephen shine was not just that he saw the glory of God. We always miss that in that story. That Stephen got to a point. Stephen said, just like Jesus said, Father, forgive them. Yeah. That's the pinnacle of glory. That's what glory does to us. It's that he makes us share in the divine nature of God, where we're able to go. And that's how God, and you remember in that, and it's good to finish on that scripture, in that passage, the Bible says, and Saul consenting to that. And if Stephen had said, or Stephen had not said, Father, forgive them, I'm not sure. Because Jesus said to them, whosoever sins you retain, I would retain. And whosoever sins you forgive, I would forgive.
Right.
So Jesus had permission to go after Saul because Stephen did not hold Saul's sins against him. Many times, our unwillingness to forgive, if we see what our unforgiveness will do to the person, our bad heart will not even want to forgive, but our good heart will cringe and say, nah. If you understood that not forgiving one person can lead to 5-10 generations, I mean, how long you will be satisfied? You get to a point where the pain would not be worth it anymore. Yeah. It compounds as it goes. So Jesus is looking for people who would nip evil in the bud. Right. So every time an offense comes towards you, it's a train that the devil is riding, and it's just gotten to your bus stop. Trust me, there are several people he's going to hit. And Jesus is saying, would you intercept this derailed train with mercy and forgiveness and kill that evil there? Look at parents, for example, relationships, marriages. If people understood the impact that lack of forgiveness will do to children and children's children and children's children, probably would have forgiven and just let that go. So God is calling us there. So I think that's a fantastic note to end.
Sure.
God is calling us to building beautiful relationships. Just summary: be intentional, know your values, be humble, and forgive. And I think those 4 things are so powerful in building relationships. I thought we were going to laugh, but Eyitayo is a serious guy. He's a very, very serious guy. We'll have him again. We have not done, no. We're still talking. This is how we wrap it up. Like, it's like our...
I mean, I guess it's not...
It's beautiful.
I'm too... What's the word?
You're like direct, like
No, but
you're good. Eyitayo is a good guy. I've seen Eyitayo cry many
oh
times.
my God.
I've seen him. I've seen him.
The point is,
I remember one day that a colleague of ours, like had a medical emergency. I was like, this guy is a puppy. Like, it's like,
what are you talking about? I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
I love you, man. We love you.
Appreciate that.
You've been an amazing friend to us, and I think a lot of the things we spoke about today, we actually model for each other.
Yeah.
And how we relate with each other.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Redefinitions. Thank you for allowing us into your space. Can't believe we've gone over an hour already. Just talk. It doesn't look like it. We'll soon start doing Joe Rogan 3 hours. You just get blessed. Enjoy yourself. Don't worry, we won't do 3 hours.
That'll be fun.
God bless you. Eyitayo will be back. Eyitayo will be back. We're going to talk about enterprise. We're going to talk about performance on the job as believers.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about just confidence on the job, and all that. Eyitayo is just a beautiful guy.
That scripture that says that being touched by the feelings of our infirmity.
Yeah.
I think that is a very critical virtue in terms of relationships as well. It's like when you think about the other person, you cannot. You must be touched by whatever they feel. So I think that's critical.
Absolutely.
Well. Thank you very much, AK, for being on your bringing me to your
house.
Eyitayo. The next time I'm coming, I'll come with some bars. I was supposed to give you guys bars. I'll give you bars next time.
You'll give us bars.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
Peace out.
Cheers. Wow.